really struggling to capture my thoughts lately. They just fail to connect into logical chains or explanations. They fail to go anywhere. Don't really know why that is, but let's try again. What realization am I coming to right now? You have a way to be, or who you are, right? And what do I mean by that? I mean how you engage with the world, how you view the world, how you exchange with the world, how you express yourself, right? And who you are will obviously come into contact with the world itself, right? And the world, depending on who you are and what you give it, will respond differently. Duh. It's like some super strong guy punches a watermelon, it breaks. Some super scrawny little baby hands punches a watermelon, it doesn't break, right? Super trivial, super simple to understand. So, who you are changes how the world responds, and who I was, let's just say I was a very, I can't think of a better word, just like a very, like filled with love, filled with life. I don't know. At least that's how I felt on the inside, right? And I wanted to kind of share this with the world, the excitement for life. And as I interacted with the world, I soon kind of learned a bit more about it. And my response to that was who I was just wrong. I became ashamed of who I was. I started resenting who I was. And my answer to that was who I was in relation to the world was not correct. I was wrong. And that made me see who I was as an objective thing. Like it's an objective right or wrong kind of problem. It's like for you to get respect, you need to act in a certain way. For you to see results, you need to do certain things and engage in a certain way, right? And I kind of how should I say? I decided to become the most correct version of myself when interacting with the world. And I think that is a great mistake. I think instead of changing who you are in response to the world, yeah, you learn more about the world, and yeah, that will change what you want to give it, how you want to engage with it. But you shouldn't mold yourself to be in accordance with the world, because doing so creates makes yourself view as something as objectively correct or objectively wrong, and that takes away it starts feeling forced. Your existence starts feeling forced because now you have a correct way to exist, and in that sense you lose enthusiasm towards existence. And that's kind of the idea I've come to recently. My fundamental issue was I tried to min-max or try hard at life too much, to a point where I started thinking in categories of optimal and suboptimal, and who I was an optimal or a suboptimal thing, with no degree of self-expression or freedom of choice. Um, and in that sense, well, I was wrong. And what do I propose, or what do I want to try in the future? Or what should have I done? I should have observed the world and seen that it responds differently, and then asked myself, how do I want to change with regards to it? Well, let me elaborate that. For example, let's say you're a very compassionate person and you're a very, I don't know, you really like to share, you really like to be open and honest, right? You're this kind of person, and then you find yourself in a situation where you're kind of who you are gets exploited, and your answer could be like, well, wow, I've just realized who I am gets exploited by certain people or certain aspects of the world, and I get fucked for it. And you could have two responses of, oh, now I've learned it, I'm gonna remain to be compassionate and open, but maybe towards that particular aspect of the world or that specific person, I am going to I just won't feel the desire to share anymore. I won't feel as compelled to do so, knowing that that person is completely hostile towards me, right? What I'm highlighting is I didn't change myself. I just used that context and fed it back into myself, and then that just naturally shifted how I respond. And the other approach, which is what I ended up doing, is thinking of it as, oh, I find a flaw within my persona, and I need to eradicate this flaw such that I'm no longer vulnerable to this kind of attack. I'm no longer vulnerable to getting scammed or betrayed or whatever. Do you see how those two formulations are kind of similar, but actually very opposite? One tries to change themselves in accordance, and the other uses the context to how should I say, learns a new context without feeling the need to adjust themselves at their core to it. It's like they're still the same person, they just know an extra thing. Like they're still their strategy or engagement towards life is still the same. Or mostly the same. They're still going to, maybe now they're going to be more open to, more perceptive to certain traits playing up, and then realizing, oh, that's probably a scammer, and then they'll naturally just feel less enthusiasm towards engaging with that person without kind of like trying, without needing to do this like, I'm no longer sharing, I'm no longer this person, right? So that's kind of the whole point, I think. And given kind of what I've done to myself, what are my like next steps to get out of this? I don't actually know. I think it's engaging the way I wish to engage, whether it's optimal or not. Completely turning off this filter for optimal or not. Of course, I've coached a lot, I've learned a lot of things. I'm a, by all means, really fucking smart guy. In some senses. Not in all of them, but in some senses. Like, I do have a crazy amount of context about the world. And in that sense, it's very tempting to see the world as optimal or see certain paths as optimal or suboptimal. But what I must learn how to do is now to see this context as just what it is, as context. Not as a fucking reason to shift myself, not as a reason to reform myself, just as context. Now, like, I know that's a trap, I just don't step on it, I keep walking, I don't need to fucking put on trap armor or whatever the fuck. I don't know, I feel like that's vague. Would be more actionable. What do I do? Just act on desires, act on impulses, and completely throw away. I guess if I were to try to reconnect with who I was always a very open person. I would say I am completely closed now. In a sense that, yeah, I have... Okay, I'll explain this concept, because a lot of people think I'm still very open, and they're deeply wrong. When two people interact, let's say you have, I don't know, a cup that is this size, or like a pool or whatever, something that holds water, right? And it has water up to here. Like the pool is this deep, right? And you have another pool, which is much deeper, right? And if you were to have divers kind of, I don't know, for whatever reason they want to share the depths of the pool, right? The pool isn't the analogy for your consciousness, it's the analogy for the depth of your mind, right? And someone, you might go down here with someone, and then it's the depth of their consciousness, it's the depth of their mind, and you'll talk about, you know, you'll open up, you'll bring up something about yourself at this level, and they, because they have limited perspective, in their kind of worldview, they see this. They think that you've reached the bottom, and you've given them everything. And because that is everything for them. And in that sense, okay, I'll do another analogy. Let's say you have a person who has, I don't know, per year, they make 20k, right? Whatever currency, dollars, right? And then you have another person who makes, I'm not gonna make another person now. So let's say you make 20k, and you help someone, or whatever, or you interact with someone, and then they pay you 20k, right? Just for one action, one day activity. They're like, hey, I know you're in trouble, I would like to help you out, and they just hand you 20k. You are gonna be ecstatic, you're gonna be like, wow, this person has just given me so much money. They must surely, you know, really care about me to give me this much money. They must, how should I say, for you, this 20k is like 1 year's worth of your life. Maybe even more, because, you know, if you were to factor in rent, costs, it's probably like 4 years worth of your life, right? And you view it as, in terms of, you know, the amount of effort you put in. So you just received 4 years worth of life from another person, and you assume, based on your own like worldview, your own projection, that they have just, that they see it the same way. They think that they've given you 4 years of their life, but that might not be true. That person might be making 20k per hour, or even faster, right? They might be making that shit fucking per minute, right? They've given you 1 minute of their life, and you have received what you perceive as 4 years of life. And in that sense, you feel like they've done a great big thing for you, and for them, it was just a chunk of change. And I feel exactly the same way when talking to people. I go kind of relative to what they're used to, and where their consciousness kind of spans, and they feel like when I share my equivalent of that level of consciousness ideas, they feel like I'm opening up. Completely not true. I don't feel that way at all. I feel my consciousness spans so far that I've basically never go there in conversation ever. Like I would say my own thoughts, they probably go here-ish, And then there's like the very bottom of like the thoughts that I'm not even willing to confront, right? So there's like levels to this, and in that sense, this person I'm interacting with will always feel like I'm such a great guy that I'm always so open and blah blah blah. But to me, it doesn't feel the same at all, and it's not even that. It's fact. I am not open and completely closed. If we were to go in terms of who's actually, opening up about things that bothers them, the person I'm speaking to is giving me way more than I'm giving them, always. But it is what it is, right? And in a way, I'm not even sure if there's any point in going deeper. I should say, it's one of the reasons why I don't like rudeness. I have made a whole video explaining why, but I haven't really touched on this point. It makes it impossible to, how strong you are determines how much you're able to connect with someone. And in that sense, the person that I'm speaking to is just not strong enough intellectually to even understand what I'm talking about. They just won't be able to connect with it at all. Those words will just be wasted. And in that sense, I don't think there's even any point of, I don't know if maybe there is a point, I don't know. Generally, I think if I did, I would just feel like empty or maybe even resentment towards who I'm speaking to, because if they cared about me at all, then they would push themselves to try to understand me, but none of them do. Not to a great enough degree. Of course they do push themselves, but for me it's not enough, or it doesn't feel like this. And yeah, but yeah, so yeah, this creates a big misconception, and a lot of people build a completely wrong image of me, and I'm noticing that consistently. At least how I would explain it. So that's why everyone thinks one way of me, and I have a dramatically different perspective of it. And why people think that I'm empathetic or emotionally available. I'm not at all. I don't feel that way at all. I don't think I am. But yeah. What else is there to cover? There's who you are, there's the world. You shouldn't change who you are because it's forced. I think we can leave it here. I guess I could try having those open, honest conversations, but I feel like it will probably backfire. I don't know. Generally, when I have tried to, what has happened is the person just breaks. I don't know, like they completely flip out. I've had people like scream at me, telling me I'm, the worst person on the planet. I'm a monster, or whatever. And that generally seems to be the trend. At least that has been my experience. Maybe it's like a learned behavior again, and I don't know. Okay, I think that's enough.